What a difference a day makes. What a difference one game makes. All of a sudden, the Phillies have gone from, well, they're technically not eliminated, to, oh, they are very much in this thing. After a resounding 8-2 win late last night, Wednesday, October 8th, in Game 3 of the division series, the Phillies are back in this baby. The Dodgers still lead 2-1. The Phillies will be playing elimination games for the remainder of this series, however long it goes. But boy, does it feel like they're in a different spot than they were at this point 24 hours ago. And that's all thanks to a couple of things. One, the pitching plan worked. Opening Aaron Nola for 2 innings, getting through 8 batters, worked about as well as you could possibly hope for. Ranger Suarez gave up a home run on the first pitch he threw, and then after that was nails. The rest of the bullpen was good. And guess who showed up in force? That's right, the top of the order. 7 combined hits between Trey Turner, Kyle Schwarber, and Bryce Harper. 9 if you include Alec Boehm to round out the top 4, including 2 big home runs from Kyle Schwarber, one of which was woefully underestimated at 455 feet. There's no way it was that short. Clearing the pavilion in right field. And all of a sudden, the Phillies have to be feeling pretty good about things. Not only that, they've got Cris Sanchez going tonight, Thursday, with a chance to send this thing back to Philadelphia and maybe cap it all off. There's still some work to be done, but it's hard not to feel good about where things stand after last night. And so with that, welcome to Phillies Therapy. My name is Paul Boyer, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, the Athletic's Phillies beat reporter, Matt Gelb, who was out there and watched all of that unfold last night. And Matt, really, I have a difficult time not walking away from that game from first to ninth inning, not feeling as if the Phillies just emerged with the best case scenario they could have for a series they still trail.
Yeah, and I think you don't want to get too far ahead of yourselves here because there's a lot of work to do. And yes, they are feeling better today, but I think having the same mentality they had in Game 3 would benefit them in Game 4. Paul, I mean, the reason why you're feeling, maybe something different or an unfamiliar feeling is that, this was the first time the Phillies won a potential elimination game since 2010, 15 years ago.
Wow.
It was Game 5 of the NLCS in San Francisco. It was a game where Roy Halladay suffered a groin injury like in the first or second inning of that game.
That's
and
right.
Kept pitching and got the series back to Philadelphia, where, of course, the Phillies lost it in Game 6. But during this whole run here, this recent run of success, they have not won once when they've faced elimination. And in a lot of ways, yes, as we discussed yesterday, the heaviest lifting might be done, because we looked at Game 3 as, even before the series started, you could look at Game 3 as, probably the tallest task for the Phillies on paper, because you're facing Yamamoto, who had not allowed a run, I don't know, or something in like his last 26 innings or whatever, an earned run, and you had an unclear pitching plan, Suarez or some combination of Nola Suarez, which we saw work almost to perfection.
Yes.
But
unbelievable.
But to your point, and I think we could probably talk about this for 2 hours, but the 8th inning of Game 3 has the potential to swing this entire series, I think.
Yes.
And it's for a couple reasons. But it's hard not to look at that 8th inning and really wonder about what the Dodgers were thinking necessarily, because I mean, they were fully in punt formation, and it comes out after the game, and we come to find out that that they don't have Tanner Scott. He was not there for personal reasons. So they were down a pitcher. I remember they were carrying 11 pitchers, so they only had 10 pitchers for Game 3. And once they bring in Clayton Kershaw, it's almost like going to punt formation. And that first inning that he threw was, he got out of it. He didn't give up a run. They picked off Kyle Schwarber at first base. It was a really bad mistake. Didn't throw a lot of strikes, but he
Yeah.
got out of it.
Yeah,
He
I
got
did.
out of the seventh inning without giving up a run, and they bring him back. And
Yep.
I just
Yeah.
think that there's real the obvious thing is that it prevented the Phillies from having to use John Duran, which
Yep.
is enormous. Because Paul, like before that eighth inning started, Duran had started throwing in the bottom of the seventh. Okay. So there was a chance they were going to ask him to get more than 6 outs, because he was warming up when Suarez was still pitching in the seventh inning. And had the Phillies not scored in the eighth inning, they would have asked Duran to get the final 6 outs with a 3-run lead. And honestly, they might not have won the game. That was going to be a lot. They were going to
It's a tall
ask him
task.
a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
And not only did they not have to ask him to get 6 outs, he didn't have to get 3 outs. He didn't have to get any outs. And yes, he warmed up. He did throw quite a few pitches in the bullpen, but he didn't have to throw any stressful pitches on the mound at Dodger Stadium. And now they have him fully available for a game 4, where you could expect them, if the situation arises, to ask him for more than 3 outs to close out the game if they're in position to do that. So that, to me, that is enormous.
It's hard to overstate. It really is. Like, you hear the word pivotal a lot this time of year, just because these things tend to carry a little bit extra weight. But man, if you could pin this all on one single inning, it's that eighth inning. It is absolutely that eighth inning. Clearly, the Tanner Scott news coming out after that he was absent from the team for that game complicated the Dodgers pitching situation a little bit, and I guess sort of explains why Kershaw came back out for the eighth inning.
Yeah,
But
so they didn't want to use Sasaki. They didn't want to use Vesia. They didn't want to use Sheehan. That's 3 guys. They had already used Dreyer and Banda in that game. That's 5 guys. So now your bullpen was down to Trinan, Kershaw, and that's it. And they ended up having to use Trinan, right? I think their ideal world was that Kershaw pitches the last 3 innings of that game. They end up having to use Trinan in the 9th inning for, total mop-up work. But yeah, we could talk more about what the game 4 pitching situation looks like for both teams, but it became more of a priority for the Dodgers to think about game 4 and save their guys. And by doing that, I wonder if there's some real wreckage that comes with it on the Dodgers side.
I would think so. I would, because I get that the Dodgers they had the advantage, right? They could do something like this, or try to do something like this, stretch Kershaw out, that is, and have a bit of series wiggle room to work with, right? Like this was the time to try and do that. You could tell from the 7th inning that Kershaw did not look good. He did not look good. He threw what was it, like 21 pitches and 9 were strikes in that inning, something like that. It was bad. And so he comes back out, and this 1-0 pitch to JT gets smacked out to left, and you're like, oh, okay, something might actually start to happen here. Then they get a little bit of help, on the error,
Muncy,
and all this stuff. Yeah. But really, that inning, because they were able to tack on, because the offense finally went over that 3-run mark, that magic 3-run threshold that we've been talking about, it gave them all of these intangible things you're talking about going into game 4, the first game of a back-to-back in this series, because there have been these off days on the National League side this year. You didn't have to use Duran, which is the hugest part of it, the biggest part of that, bar none. But it just feels like more than that behind him, not just having Duran available.
It just felt like they were generating, legitimate momentum there. And obviously momentum, as they say in baseball, is only as good as your next day's starter. And we'll get into that. But, they had 5 hits in that 8th inning, and a lot of them were hard hits. And it's a home run from Real Muto, a home run for Schwarber, singles for Turner and Bohm, a double for Harper the other way. Harper
the other way
hit a couple balls the other way, and I think he's not an idiot. I mean, he knows how they've been pitching him, and it's been away, and he's been trying to pull some stuff, I think, and it's why he hasn't produced really until game 3, and you started to see him really take what he was getting on the pitching side and just kind of serving it the other way. And I don't know, I mean, you just get the feeling that being inside that clubhouse, being in the dugout and on the field before the game, I think they had the right mindset about it. And then being in the clubhouse after the game, I also think they had the right mindset about it. It was like, let's just keep this feeling, like this idea, this thought that, as Rob Thompson articulated to them in a brief pregame meeting, and he was actually, I think, testing the line out on a few of us reporters before the game, which is
and a little crowd work.
I don't know. I mean, it after the fact, it kind of felt that way. But his line is, don't try harder, trust harder. And it's one of those lines you might see on like a motivational poster, and it's it's just words, right? And I think a lot of those guys were like, it was just words. But I think hearing that message, and he said it to the whole group inside the clubhouse before the game, before batting practice, and I don't know. I mean, I think you saw them trust, and not only that, Paul, but I think what you saw is the manager trust what has gotten them success in October. And we discussed this dynamic on the last podcast, and it was aggression, right? It was being the team that tried to set the tone, and it's much easier to do that when you're getting hits. But it's also the pitching plan, to me, harkened back to these days where they're flying by the seat of their pants and they're just like throwing it against the wall and be like, screw it, let's do it live, and it was reminiscent of some of those Braves NLDS games where they really, thought about how they could get a tactical advantage and really try to be the aggressor, be the one setting the pace and the tone and dictating it. And JT Realmuto has said this before. He's even said this about Ranger Suarez in a Braves game. I remember this, where they had this design bullpen game with Ranger, and it's like, we want to think of the first pitcher not as a starter, but we're going to think of him as like the closer, and we're going to try to get 6 outs, or we're trying to go once through the order with this guy, but we're not saving anything for second time through the order, third time through the order. We're gripping it and we're ripping it here. And Aaron Nola was ripping it. I mean, we haven't seen him throw that hard in, I don't know, 13, 14 months. And just, they might have won the game in the first inning. Like when Nola was able to pitch around a really brutal Brandon Marsh mistake, which was compounded by Nick Castellanos not showing any effort to back up that ball. But Brandon Marsh should not have, needs to keep that ball in front of him there in the first inning of a game like that. But Nola pitched around it, and then Nola got them through the second, and that was the plan. They got through the order once. They got 8 batters. They wanted Ranger Suarez to start a clean inning, so he faced Tommy Edman, not Aaron Nola. And I know Nola's numbers against Edman, and maybe that was a mistake. I get them wanting Suarez to feel as comfortable as possible coming into a game as a reliever, so they wanted him to start the inning fresh. But they got 7 innings from those guys, and they gave up 1 run. And it allowed them to avoid some of the stickiness they've had in the 6th and 7th innings. That was the pure, if you really think about the guts of this plan, that was the reason. They just didn't have a great answer for the 6th or 7th inning, and this got them there. But also, like, they knew that Nola had been feeling better, that his stuff had been better, and I think they liked the idea of like deploying him in this manner, just because there was nothing to save. No, didn't have to set these guys up. Give me your best. And JT is really good at thinking about it that way. And they really called the game like Nola was a reliever, and it worked. I mean, it was quite the gambit, and it could have backfired. But man, those pitches in the first inning, they were huge.
Yeah, and you can point to the 95-mile-an-hour fastballs in the first inning as the first sign of, oh, okay, this is maybe going to look a little bit different. To me, and maybe this is a little too easy, the pitch of Nola's night for me was the curveball that struck out Will Smith to end the first.
100%.
Because that was, look, there were runners on first and third. Will Smith is clearly feeling better and putting good swings on the ball. He had
Sixth pitch of the at bat. Yeah.
Yep. He was grinding it out there.
He took a few curveballs away. Yeah.
And he
He
drops
just
one
dropped it in there.
on the
Yeah.
front hip like that. It was a beautiful pitch, and that just wiped the slate clean and got them out of the jam, let everybody breathe a little bit. And he comes out and looks great in the second inning, goes 1-2-3. That was the pitch of his night for me. And then we get into Ranger, who again with this guy in the playoffs coming up, not just big, but like enormous. Like Ranger just cannot stop being amazing in the playoffs for this team. He's got what is his career ERA in the playoffs now? It's like below 1.5. Yeah, 1.48 in 42 2/3 innings in the play. 1.48. Like amazing. This is somebody who just he's so good. He is the Iceman. You bring him into this game, the first pitch he throws, he gives up a go-ahead home run, and then the rest of it, nothing. They got
the biggest at bat I thought was, the biggest at bat was, I'd say the 6th inning.
Yes.
Freeman strikes out to start the inning. Then Smith and Kike singles. One of them was a bloop single, the Kike one.
Kike just cannot stop. He just can't stop reaching.
Brandon Marsh had a pretty rough night.
He
had a rough night. Yeah. Kike drops one in center field, and so now you've got first and second, and Muncy bats. And I was a little surprised they let Muncy bat there. Muncy batted. He had faced Suarez earlier in the game. They let him bat in the 4th inning, which, okay, that's fine. I get it. It's the 4th inning. And he singled. In the 6th inning, with 2 men on, I was surprised that they did not go for the platoon advantage.
Me too.
Muncy has not hit lefties at all this season. And Suarez rolls a double play ball. Just an enormous pitch right there. Because it saved pitches. It made sure that he could go back out for the 7th inning. And Paul, not to look too far ahead here, right?
Mm-hmm.
But he threw 72 pitches in 5 innings. I don't think that would rule him out to come in relief in a potential Game 5.
Game 5, yeah. Obviously, it rules him out for tonight, of course. But yes, I would think in an all hands on deck situation, you could count on him for an inning and feel pretty good about it.
Yeah.
And this is what we're talking about when we say best case scenario, because in the big picture, yes, the Phillies still trail a series, more work to do. We'll keep saying that as often as we need to. But for a team that is in that position, the way that game unfolded, setting everything up for tonight, when you have your top guy going again with with a chance to extend the series and bring it back home, where we all have a chance to, get that home record and home mystique back on our side, potentially, that's where you want to be. They cleared that hurdle. They cleared the hardest part of this. They could still stumble down the stretch, but they cleared the hardest part of this. They made, a top 3 Cy Young finisher. Yamamoto is either going to finish second ahead of Sanchez.
They took some great at bats against him.
Yeah, they really looked good.
And it was clear in the 2nd or 3rd inning that he did not have his best splitter, and they really were able to eliminate that. And they took some really good at bats. And yes, they did not have anything to show for it until that 4th inning, until that prodigious swing, which really, I mean, what did we say? I mean, they just needed to see someone park one into the seats, and he didn't park in the seats. He hit it over the seats. Yeah, he hit it over the bleachers. So I guess we were wrong about that, but it did. I think it did that swing did a lot for them. It did, and it was only 1 run, but it felt like it was more than 1 run.
And it did a lot for all of us on the outside too. The Discord or the Blue Sky or wherever you may have been posting or hanging out on the internet. If you were doing that, you probably saw in some form or fashion, in some collection of letters and words, an exhale, because when that ball left the bat, one, you knew it was gone the instant it hit the bat. You could see it in the replay on Yamamoto's reaction. The grimace was very intense as he turned around.
I saw, after the game, I had not seen his reaction, and Lachlan March from the Inquirer showed me a screen grab of Yamamoto just mouth agape, yelling, almost screaming, after he gave up that home run. I was like, that's pretty funny. I did not see that, and I mean, it was a 2-0. there's a term I'll use. I can't use it on this podcast, but it was a 2-0 pipe shot. I'll say that. And I mean,
yeah, I know what you mean.
It was a pitch you cannot miss, and he didn't miss it.
Nope.
He hit it pretty far.
So now they've got that feel, right? And Harper had a couple of hits to his credit, a couple opposite field hits to his credit, one in the gap for extra bases later in the game too. Among those, Turner had another nice game. I mean, he's been present.
He's put some really good at bats.
Yeah, most of the series,
and
really
you wish he would have gotten a hit, to end, in the ninth inning of game 2. But his at bats on the whole, I think, have been really good.
And so now you try and roll this up and keep it moving into a matchup with Tyler Glasnow, who is like the other pitchers in this Dodgers rotation in that on any given night, he can overwhelm you.
He's tremendous, yes.
But he's prone to also not doing that, to put it pretty simply. He's somebody who can get a little erratic. If he's not feeling it, he can miss out of the zone. And if the Phillies bring the approach that they've had really all series, they could set themselves up for a decent amount of success here. Now, nothing is guaranteed with somebody of his stuff, but he can walk guys. And if he starts putting traffic on the bases with a lineup that all of a sudden knows what it feels like to watch these balls go over the fence, I'm just saying that's a good spot to be in. And so I like it as much as I can, knowing that the potential is there for Glasnow to put another one of these, no hits through the first 3 or 4 innings that the Dodgers rotation seems to be stringing together. But also there's the potential that he could walk 4 guys in 4 innings. Like he could get guys on base, and then all it would take was a hit to just drop in or an error. Like we saw the Dodgers finally making some mistakes out there on the field. After the Schwarber homer, the inning continued in large part because a throw went into the dugout, right?
Yeah,
like they automatically
on the bases.
Yep, they played it another run that way.
The Bryce Harper.
Yeah,
I mean, he made them make a play, and they didn't make a play. Yeah, and that's okay. Like if you want to be aggressive, they're in a position where, again, if you're gonna go out, we're gonna go out our way. And shout out to a friend of the pod, Anthony DeBundo, for his great tweet about, like the powder blues. Like, he used the gif from the Patriot. It's like, if I'm gonna die, I'm gonna die looking good. And I can assure you that if they win Game 4, they will be wearing the blues on Saturday night.
Yeah, they better. Yeah, absolutely. Keep that rolling. So Matt,
I want one more thing about Glasnow.
Oh yeah.
Do you know how many times in the last 2 seasons he has pitched on his 5th day, 4 days regular rest?
This is going to be interesting. How many?
That would be twice.
Whoa, really? And that's in 40
he did it once
total
this
starts?
year, once last year. Now he obviously in Game 1 he didn't start, and he didn't throw a ton of pitches. I think it was 30 something, 35ish. But he's coming back 34 here on his 5th day, which is something he is not accustomed to doing. And do you want to know what Cris Sanchez numbers were on his regular rest?
I would have to imagine they're pretty good. Yeah.
So he made 14 starts this year on regular rest, 84 innings, 92 strikeouts, 21 walks, only 3 home runs, a 2.36 ERA.
Yeah, that's my guy right there. That's beautiful.
So there's also a couple things at play here, and I apologize for not having enough information about this right now, and I'm going to be asking people about this, but a 3:00 start at Dodger Stadium is unusual, like very unusual. I don't think I've ever seen a game here played at that time. I'm going to say the S word, but it might be a factor in this game. Like the shadows could be a thing, and I'm not sure when, how bad. I do think it could play into it. Sanchez, and this is, there's not a lot of signal in this. There's probably more noise in this data than signal. But Sanchez this season in day games is pretty good. And I just had it up and now I just lost it. I'm sorry to everybody who's listening. This is great podcasting. 2.29 ERA in 10 day starts this year. 63 innings, 75 strikeouts, 13 walks.
Okay. Well, that'll work.
Hypothetically, like the shadows might hurt the Phillies here because we're going into this and saying that the Phillies have the pitching advantage on paper. So you would probably, the shadows might maybe evens that out a little more. I don't know. Again, I'm not sure what the effects totally of the shadows are going to be, because this is a rare kind of start time here, and it's October, so the sun sets a little earlier. It's something to just keep in the back of your mind.
Yeah.
But as far as the pitching plan goes for both teams today, I mean, I think if we're laying out the ideal plan for both teams, okay, this is how I understand it as of now. I think the ideal plan for the Dodgers would be something like Glasnow for 5 innings, then Sheehan for 2, Vesia, and then Sasaki.
Okay.
1 apiece. I think that would be their ideal pitching plan for Game 4. For the Phillies, Sanchez for 9. No. I mean, I think their most ideal pitching plan is Sanchez for 7 and Duran for 2, or maybe Sanchez for 6, Strom for the 7th, or whenever the Ohtani pocket is coming up.
Yeah.
And then Duran for 6. Some kind of combination of Strom and Duran get the final 9 outs. I think that's probably their best play in Game 4. But they have a fully rested bullpen. Kerkering threw 11 pitches. He hasn't been great on back-to-backs, but it's been okay. He's fully available for Game 4, obviously.
Yeah. I just pulled it up real quick. I was looking at it as we were talking about this to check out what Tyler Glasnow has done in day games at Dodger Stadium this year. It's not going to be a 1-to-1 because it is a mid-afternoon Pacific time, and It is a different time of the year. Just looking at it, he made 5 appearances during day games at Dodger Stadium, a start of 6 innings, 2 runs, an abbreviated start of 1 inning and 2 runs on April 27th. Not totally sure what happened there. In late July, probably 7 innings, 12 strikeouts, 1 walk, and then 2 August starts, 5 2/3, 2 runs, 4 walks, and then 5 innings, 2 runs, 8 strikeouts. Obviously, the strikeouts are always there with Tyler.
Yeah, Glasnow. Anecdotally, the ball, we talked about this before Game 3. The ball has been flying a little more at Dodger Stadium, and during day games, it has especially been flying. So, home run prevention will be a big part of this game too. Sanchez obviously is very skilled at avoiding slug with his arsenal. That's going to be really important in this game.
Yeah. Speaking of slug, going back to the offensive side real quick for one more thing, we have to do our regularly scheduled check-in about Harrison Bader. He did not play in yesterday's game, was not needed, thankfully, to pinch hit. He got the full night off. Is there any change in his status or availability here as we go into Game 4 for Harrison Bader?
I think there is a greater than 50% chance that he plays in Game 4. I don't know if he'll play.
Okay.
But I think there is a decent chance that he starts for the Phillies in Game 4.
Okay. I mean, that would be we saw,
Enormous.
Brandon. Yeah, that would be a bonus. We saw Brandon.
I think I would take 75% of Harrison Bader right now just to get my outfield, just to get Marsh into left field and Castellanos onto the bench.
Yeah. I mean, well, yeah, we didn't really even talk about Nick and how he almost lost that ball. If he had lost that ball early in that game, that might have even been the first inning, right? Where he fought it toward the line in right field. That might have been the only sign I needed to know that it was not going to be that team's night. But he found it, or the ball found his glove at least. Yeah, ideally he is not in the field.
I think they would really, 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 really like it if Harrison Bader played in Game 4.
I bet I would too. The same amount of reallys. But that's good. That's encouraging. It's good to hear that he's making. It sounds like he's making some progress. Yeah.
Yeah, I will say. I mean, I think for the first time that the odds are greater than 50% that he would start.
Excellent. All right, Matt. As we head into a Game 4 later this afternoon, early evening here on the East Coast.
Did you stay up? Did you watch the whole game?
I did. It was one of those things where I started out feeling like, okay, if this is the last game I watch today, let's make it memorable, right? Like I was hoping to get something that would leave a good taste in my mouth. And not only did I get that, they get to play again. They play again tonight. It was nice to watch all of that unfold for all of those reasons. It was good for me to relax too late in the game. It was nice to see Taijuan Walker get in the game. He should have been able to get out of that inning, but of course, another, blue pit, little squiver gets through.
How about, hey, I mean, like, this could change on a dime, right?
Uh-huh.
And I'm not saying that they've figured something out here, but the way they've pitched Shohei Ohtani in this series
is crazy.
Seems somewhat significant, doesn't it?
He's 1 for 14 with 7
strikeouts. I mean,
yeah.
And look, that he could park 2 today.
Oh, yeah. He almost got one off the fists out of the park last night.
He did. I don't know how that ball didn't go out. If that was hit during the day at Dodger Stadium, that ball is like 12 rows deep in left field.
Yeah.
So yes, it hasn't been right. It's not total. It's not been total domination, but it's been pretty good. I mean, they have put this guy aside and made him not important at the plate in this series in three games, which is that kind of tracks with how they've pitched him in the past.
Yeah. And now all of a sudden, after last night, the Phillies are out homering the Dodgers in this series. The Dodgers only have those 2 homers, obviously the Teo home run in game 1 and the Edman home run last night. So it's not as if they're, slugging it yet either. The Phillies pitching has really done a nice job of keeping that lineup in check and giving their own lineup a chance to, get back in these games. It worked for game 3 and they erupted and they were still in it in games 1 and games 2. You can't really ask much more out of the pitching. And now you turn it back over to the ace for game 4.
If only they had played to win.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, they'll play to win game 4 tonight here on October 9th and have a chance to send it back to Philadelphia for a winner take all game 5. Oh, I'm excited thinking about that. I hope it happens. I would like for that to happen. Matt, any last thoughts? Anything we didn't cover heading into game 4? I think it's all pretty well understood what the stakes and situation is.
No, I would say the last thing I would say is Aaron Nola deserves some props. Thought that was pretty cool.
Yes, if that's his last appearance this season, his last 2 outings have really.
Might not be. I mean, like
it might not be.
He would hypothetically be available for game 5, but also like again, getting way ahead of ourselves here. But if they somehow win this series in 5 games, Aaron Nola's probably starting game 1 of the NLCS.
I would think so. It wouldn't be Cris, so and it wouldn't be Luzardo because he'd go in game 5. Yeah, you'd have to think about Nola for sure, and especially if Suarez pitches in game 5 too. Nola probably wouldn't be available.
Yep.
I would love to have this conversation again on Saturday. I would love to go over this again on Saturday. That would be amazing. So Matt, I'm feeling better. I'm feeling pretty good. Hopefully the boys keep it rolling and give Cris some run support.
What's with you and the boys? Why do you keep saying
boys? That? I don't know. It feels this team feels like the boys group. Does that make sense? No, it probably doesn't make sense. No, I'm not even going to try and get into this more. It just feels like a team I can call the boys.
This is very cathartic for you. Yeah.
Yeah. I want to keep feeling good, man. I want to keep watching this team play.
They won a difficult matchup, and they didn't just win. They won it in convincing fashion, and they did it, in a way that really sets them up for game 4. So let's see what happens.
Beautiful. Game 4 later today. That's Thursday, the 9th, in Dodger Stadium, as Cris Sanchez takes the bump one more time to try and send this team back to Philadelphia. He's opposed by Tyler Glasnow on the Dodgers side. We'll see what happens. I'm excited again. My hopes are back up. And so with that, I'm just going to kind of have to keep riding this wave and feel good about it and get to watch this team one more time, see if they can extend this series. One game at a time, go 1-0 tonight, all that motivational stuff, trust harder. Wow. Yeah, it all sounds pretty good.
I'm ready to run through a wall for you.
Yeah, let's go. All right, it's up to them now. We'll all watch in a couple of hours and see if we get to have this discussion one more time this series. Game 4, Dodger Stadium. Cris Sanchez on the bump. Thanks for listening to Phillies Therapy, part of the Believe Podcast Network. If you want to get more, you want to join in on the Discord conversation, that's part of our Patreon membership, patreon.com/Phillies Therapy. We would love to have you there. If not, either way, of course, thank you as always for listening. And we will catch you the next time we record, which will probably be in a couple of days, win or lose. So we'll see you then. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next time.